Hello, I'm Dima Hijazi, Automation Team Leader at ISS Software Hive, and in today's video we'll demonstrate the job requisition service in HR department and how it can be automated using Nintex Forms and Nintex Workflow Platform in a very easy and fast way. This episode is one of the series of Build Solution Fasters with Nintex, and today we'll focus on the new job requisition service. In our agenda, we'll go through the revolution in HR processes, how to automate that job requisition using Nintex, and which products we'll use, the solution demo, technical deep dive, and a conclusion. How to digitally transform your HR operations, what are the challenges and what are the benefits of automation. Nowadays, HR managers are overloaded with day-to-day administrative tasks as well as managing processes and multiple documents. They need IT systems to make their workday more manageable and to move their focus from repetitive and dummy tasks to employee retention, motivation, talent acquisition, and other related aspects that can improve and enhance the overall productivity of the employee and the success of the organization. To sum it up, we can elicit 5 main challenges in the modern HR core processes, which are the efficient and secure management of employee data, the approvals and the workflow, the documentation management, the fast way to take decisions, and the overall system and data security. So, automating your core HR processes will resolve the main HR administration challenges, accelerate the process and documentation management, and will keep HR and employee data up to date, secure, and will help the HR team and the company focus on more strategic tasks that drive company success on the market. Besides this, the onset of the pandemic of COVID-19 sent a shock wave through the HR organization. HR professionals work quickly to find and develop new work from home policies that would keep employees safe and comply with health and employment policies and sustain their productivity. But what they need most was to streamline processes in order to keep up with work and help comply with evolving rules. So the solution will be automating your HR operations, your internal services and internal processes to enhance the employee productivity and to move the stress and the strain from your resources. And Nintex is the solution to automate the HR operations more specifically. So for the job requisition service, you can automate it using Nintex Platform. And Nintex Platform is a very easy to use, powerful and complete platform to manage, automate and optimize any process. Manage your process means the process management, and here we have Nintex ProMap. You need to document your process, how the process are being conducted, and Nintex ProMap is the best. Nintex Platform is a solution to automate the job requisition service. Nintex is a very easy to use, powerful and complete product to manage, automate and optimize your process. Manage processes by discovering, mapping and sharing across process participants and owners. First, in any process, you need to document how the process is actually being conducted. And here we have Nintex ProMap as a process management tool. We will visualize, we will map the different steps of the job requisition process using Nintex ProMap. All employees here can capture what they can do and collaborate with others to ensure that resulting documentation is always up to date. They can add their suggestion to improve the service and route it to the required or to the appropriate participants to make the necessary changes. After completing the process mapping, we need to automate the process actually using the different products Nintex can offer. So we have first Nintex Mobile. The employees, the approver, the managers can use the mobile application, Nintex native mobile app or a custom mobile app offered by Nintex suite to submit forms to approve, reject, and take decisions on the tasks or their pending tasks, etc. Also, we have Nintex Form. Nintex Form will be used to capture the data of the job requisition. Here Nintex offer different capabilities from the classic to the responsive design experience, and using this product will eliminate the paper forms and will go to a paperless environment. Then with the advanced workflow capability, we will quickly design a powerful applications using the advanced logic and rules and in order to eliminate the manual work. After designing the workflow and customizing the forms, we have the tasks where the approvers or the required participants will access to take the required decisions. We have the app customization. We'll see how we will customize your look and feel and change it based on the company branding. We'll have the user portal, which is SharePoint, where Nintex platform will work on top of it, and the integration, where Nintex platform can integrate with any external system using its extension frameworks. Then we'll have the document generation. Usually in most of the processes, some documents needs to be generated dynamically based on structured or unstructured data source. So using Nintex DocGen, you can automatically and using a very efficient way to generate document based on the process running. Then after the document generation, we have Nintex Sign, powered by Adobe Sign, where you can integrate with the electronic signature product or platform to take signature from the required signers on a specific document. This document can be generated from Nintex DocGen, or it can be retrieved from any shared drive, for example, from any document management system, etc. At the end, we will see how the Nintex on-prem platform can integrate with Nintex Workflow Cloud to extend the capabilities of the platform, to integrate with the social media platform, and enhance the process to complete all the business requirements. So now let's go deep dive on how technically you can automate and implement your job requisition application using Nintex Forms and Nintex Workflows. First, Nintex on-prem is running on top of SharePoint, and here we are working on Nintex 2019. So we are looking into the dashboard, which is considered as a digital hub containing all our e-services. In the HR module, we have different applications, job requisition, employee onboarding, offboarding, etc. And in today's episode, we will focus on the job requisition application, and we will go deep dive how it has been customized on top of Nintex Form and how the workflows has been configured. First of all, in order to create any form in Nintex Form, you should create your list. To create a list, you will go here to the settings gear, go to add an app and customize your list, add the columns you need, and define the data type for each column. I will not go and create a list from scratch. However, I will go to my list, the job requisition list. It's here. And here I have the job requisition list, which is considered as a spreadsheet where all the data submitted inside the form will be saved and accessible to all users, to all the SharePoint site users. So first, to create and customize the form, you should click on Nintex Forms and the designer will open directly. Before go into our design, the job requisition design, I need to explain the type of design Nintex Forms had. So Nintex Forms for SharePoint 2019 more specifically have 3 types of design: classic, responsive, and the new responsive design. In our case, we will use the classic designer. However, the responsive forms design allow you to create beautiful and powerful forms that are automatically optimized and fit any device or screen size. You can directly open the form and it will fit the screen on your mobile browser, on your tablet, on your iPad, or even on Nintex mobile app. In parallel, for the new responsive design, in addition that it can fit any screen or device, it has a very modern view with additional improvement and enhancement on the old responsive design, and it focused more on the performance, the usability, and flexibility. So now let's go to our classic design here. Here we have the canvas where all the fields will be dropped, and here we have a list of a menu, a list of controls, predefined controls. Also Nintex give the feature to add and customize any control and deploy it inside your Nintex environment. So you have different type: calculated value, choice, date time, people picker, SQL request also if you want to integrate with your database, web request if you want to call any web service or API, retrieve data displayed inside your form in a specific format, for example, or even insert data into external system. So let's start by our form here. Since it's a classic design, you can embed any CSS style sheet or JavaScript code inside your form. Inside the form settings, you have 2 ways to add the CSS or the JavaScript: either directly here and embed all the classes inside this section, or add the file URL, the CSS file URL, here inside the custom CSS includes. You can upload the CSS file in any SharePoint library and add the link here. Okay, so for every field, for every single field control inside our form, we have a unique class. For example, if we go to this panel, it has a CSS class called panel, and panel attributes are defined inside our CSS style sheet. We'll go here to see, for example, this value. And this calculated value is connected to the title to give our request, our submitted request, a unique number. You can define and generate any random number, and you can generate a defined number using Nintex inline function and runtime function. For example, here we are concatenating the gr- string and formatting the current date on this format, month, day, year, using the format date function. You can find the format date function here. Also, when you choose format date, you will have a brief description what this function will return and how what is the pattern or the syntax of this function. Then you can, in addition to this format date, to the number generated returned by this function, you can add a custom an auto-generated number based on the number of requests you have in the job requisition. For example, here you will count all the rows inside the job requisition list using the count function, and here is the lookup function will give you all the results where count, column count is equal to done, and it gives you the ID. And if you add true attribute, you will have all the rows. Without this true attribute, this function will return only one row. Then you will increment this count by 1 to generate a unique ID. Using this expression, you will have for each request a unique ID, and it's saved in the title column. I will go back to this bar. This bar, it's the same. You will find it here in our published form. Here, this progress bar will define the step where the workflow is waiting on. For example, it's in the approval, it's in the vacancy, CV screening, interview, and the form will automatically switch between one phase to another based on the status. How it has been done, I will go back here. It's a rich text. You define all the phases inside the default value here, or the text: 1 submitter, 2 approval, vacancy, etc. And you will give your so after you list all the phase and the steps of your workflow, you should give this field a specific class name and a specific function, JavaScript function, that will be called after the form or the window will be loaded. So here I will go to the format text, added source. I have give the class name progress tracker as a name, and when the screen is loaded, the status function will be called. The function is defined inside the custom JavaScript in the form settings here, and it switch between the classes. I will not go line by line how we have developed this function, but it will switch based on the status number between the in progress class, completed class, and the current step, and change the bullet points as mentioned, as defined here. Okay, let's go back to the form. Go to this tabs functionality. It's very easy to design a tab inside your Nintex form. What you should do, it's easy to design a tab inside your Nintex form. All you need to do is to drag and drop a choice control from the menu to the canvas. Go to the choice settings, define the different section of your form, specify a default value, then change the render as buttons option from no to yes, and here you will have ready your tab. You can give this tab a specific class name to change the style and the look and feel. Also, to change the form behavior between one tab or one section to another, all you need to do is, for example, this introduction panel should be displayed only when the user or the submitter click on the introduction button. So click on the panel, go to rules, and add a rule to hide this section if tab does not contain introduction. Tab and this operator does not contain or not equal to the string introduction. Tab is the control name of the choice control. Same for the other section. If we go here, it will be hidden if the tab does not contain details or the submitter didn't click on details button, and etc. Okay, for example, here if we go to the department, Here in the department, all the department saved inside our SharePoint environment will be listed in this field. The type of this field is list lookup. For sure, you should connect this column or this field to a defined column inside your SharePoint. So I will connect it to department. I need to specify the source list, for example here departments, and specify the column name, which column it should be retrieved when I call this lookup function. For example, if I go here, I will go to departments. Here I will have the list of all the departments available in our organization, accounting, customer service, etc. And inside our form, we'll have the list of all the departments. I will go to another option for the drop down. You can define your choices directly inside your form. For example, here UAE, Saudi Arabia, India, all the locations are embedded and specified inside the choice control. You can add validation to the dates based on the input of the submitter. For example, here we have a function to check, to validate if the hiring date is less than today. You can use the less than function from the runtime function defined inside Nintex form. Less than, you specify the value 1 and value 2, where value 1 or the estimated hiring date is less than current date. So the form should raise an error that hiring date should be greater than today. If I will go down, here we have the repeating section functionality. Repeating section is usually connected to a multi-line text inside the SharePoint list, and this multi-line text should be plain text, not rich text. You should give each field inside your repeating section a unique name, for example allowance category, benefit description, and amount. By the way, the fields inside the repeating section cannot be connected to any SharePoint column. However, the repeating section itself, it will be connected to the multi-line text. Here in the multi-line text, you can define the default rows. For example, by default, 5 rows will be displayed when the submitter opens the form. You can have a minimum number of rows and maximum number of rows. You can change the text for the add new row. This one, add a new row, for example. I will change it now to add new allowance. And you can change the class name from the default class name to any custom class you will specify it. Okay. Also inside the repeating section, you can change the appearance of the repeating section by preventing adding and deleting a new row. For example, here if I click yes and change the default rows, by default the submitter will have 5 rows. He cannot add any new row and he cannot delete any row, any displayed row. Okay. Here the grand total will automatically do the sum of all the amounts specified inside the repeating section. I will go to the calculated value. It's connected to a column grand total. I will go to the function. You will choose sum function from the runtime function and specify the control, which is the amount. The amount is the control name of this field, and automatically the form will calculate all the amount added inside the repeating section, and if the submitter delete any row, the total will be adjusted accordingly. We have the attachment. The user can add any attachment, and it's a default control. Once you create any form, it will be added automatically, and we will see inside the workflow how we retrieve the attachment from the form and archive it in a SharePoint library. We have here additional fields, for example the channels, the advertisement date based on the channel. For example, if the submitter choose LinkedIn, the post will be the vacancy will be posted on LinkedIn profile of the company. We can change from standard message, this is a standard message, to a custom message. For example, I will go here and we'll go to advertisement. Here by default, if the message type is standard message, position custom message is disabled. If I will go to custom, it will be enabled. How to do it? If we'll go to Nintex form, click on the multi-line text related to the custom message, go to the rules. We have a formatting rule type. If the message type is equal to standard message type equal standard message, here you can either use the operator equal or use the runtime function equal from here, okay, and test the two values. If the message type is equal to standard message, this field will be disabled, or even you can hide it also. Okay, then we have the audit trail. This audit trail will contain the history of comments, all the comments that will be added during the flow, and it will be updated accordingly after each step. Then we have the signature field. The signature field where the submitter can add his signature dynamically while submitting the form, either from his desktop or even using his mobile application or the browser, the mobile browser. How to add the signature? We have used a JavaScript function here to change the look and feel of the multi-line text to a signature field and give the user the ability to draw a signature like this. We go here, he can add a signature. You can also add a clear signature function here. It can be added. So to add the signature field inside your form, all you need to do is to give a specific client JavaScript ID to the field, which is here. Then create and build your function inside the custom JavaScript section in the form settings. And the signature or the multi-line text will be adjusted accordingly. Then you have the two buttons to submit or to cancel the request. On the submit button, all the validation rules will be running, and check the required field, the data type, the date validation, etc. And on the cancel, the request will be cancelled, the data will not be saved, and he will be returned to the dashboard or the home page. Now we have finished our form. We have gone quickly on the form features, how you can add CSS or JavaScript, how you can add rule, how you can add a progress bar, and change the choice to tabs feature, add list lookup. We will go now to the workflow, how the workflow will be kicked off directly upon submitting form, and how we will go from one step to another. To access Nintex workflows built on top of this service, you just need to click on Nintex workflow link in the top ribbon. You will see a list of all workflows that have been published, or you will have unpublished one as well. So we'll open this workflow, job requisition workflow. As soon as the workflow open, you will going to see the workflow designer. you have all the actions here on the left hand side, and you have the designer here on the right hand side. So it's just like a receipt. You have all your ingredients inside the menu. If you need something, you drag and drop it what you need inside the canvas. In this example, as soon as the workflows kick off, the status will be changed, a folder will be created where all the attachments uploaded by the initiator will be archived, and the approval process will start automatically. First, to automatically start a workflow upon the item creation, you should go to the workflow settings and change this option, start when item is created, from no to yes. So automatically the workflow will be kicked off once the user hit on the submit button and the data are saved inside the SharePoint list. First, we need to change the workflow status. By default, once you published a workflow using Nintex workflow, a column will be created in the SharePoint list with the workflow name, with your workflow name. You can change the value inside this column by using the set workflow status action. It will be changed from in progress or completed to a defined status. For example, here we have changed the workflow status at the beginning of the workflow to started. You can define a new status by clicking at the new status, and for example, we'll use initiation and save. Let's go back to started and save. Then a folder should be created for this request specifically inside the SharePoint library. To create a folder, you can use the create item action, specify the destination list or the destination library. I've chosen the job requisition documents. It's a library inside SharePoint, inside my current site. And you will choose the name of the folder. You can choose the name field, then specify the title. Title is a column inside the job requisition list, which will contain a unique number, a unique string. I will go here to the reference, item property, go to title, and you can insert it inside the action. After creating the folder, you should upload, or you should copy the attachment from the current item to this folder. So we'll use the copy to SharePoint action. This copy to SharePoint needs a destination, needs an option how this attachment will be copied. So the destination will be the web URL or the SharePoint site we have. So by default, web URL inside the common variable will contain the site on which the workflow is running. Then we need to specify the document library. It's a job requisition request document. Then the title or the folder. And the override option, you can choose if the folder already have the same item name. You can rename the new item by adding by default 1 or 2 at the end of the name. Remove existing item and upload the new item, or update existing item. So by this, you will copy all the attachment from the running item to the next to the destination. Then here we have built our attachment URL. This attachment URL will be added to each task, where the approver can click on this link and access directly the SharePoint library. After copying the attachment, we will go to this action set. And here we are creating a custom table. This custom table will be used inside our email notification. This table will contain, let me show you an example. For example, this one. We'll customize this table, will contain the position detail, the advertisement details, all the data that have been filled out inside the form, and it will be sent to the approver with the task notification. So you can build this table using a very simple HTML code. I will go again to the workflow designer. Here so to create the table inside the task notification, we have used the build string to add our HTML code and store it inside a variable, var application details variable, type text. This variable will be inserted in our task notification. Then we need to build the audit trail or the history of comments, and these comments will be updated accordingly after each phase. To build the history of comments, you should create a table, a HTML table. This HTML table will have a date column, action by column, action description, and comment. Then we will add a row which will be the first row that this job requisition has been filled out by the initiator, by this initiator at this current date and current time. Then we will update the value inside our current item. Once you update the table in your SharePoint list, automatically when the submitter opens the initial form, he will see the audit trail updated accordingly. We'll go then to the state machine. The state machine will give the workflow a feature to go from one step to another, to go forward in the flow or to go back on a previous step. We have different phases or different states. To define the status, you should go to the state machine, enter the possible states for this state machine. For example, we have division head, HR manager, then we will go to the document generation, digital signature, inner state, just it will be used for not repeating the same actions over and over, and the application submitter. If the request has been rejected by either the division head or the HR manager, it will go to the initiator of the request for review. And once you entered all the possible states, you should specify the initial state in this option. I will cancel. It will go first to the division head. We have changed the workflow status from started to pending with division head. To get the division head of the department chosen by the submitter, we will use the query list to go to the department list based on the department. For example, accounting, human resources, IT, we will get the HOD value. Example here, we will use the query list action, specify the list name, departments, specify the condition of the query when the column title or the column title is equal to department title, if the column here inside the department list, and department if the value entered by the submitter saved inside the item properties. Here, department. When you specify the condition, you should specify the return value. So I need the HOD value, the HOD column, and I will save it inside a variable of type single line of text or person or group. Cancel. Once you get the division head, you can add your task. We have different type of task inside Nintex workflow. You have task reminder, to do task, request review, request data. For in our case, we will choose the assign flexi task. In the assign flexi task, you can add different outcome. We have approve, reject, need more information, and you can add any other outcome. You should choose the assignees. Who are the assignees or the approvers of this task? You can go to the reference here. Either add statically the name of the assignee, for example, Muhammad. We'll get Muhammad Abdi name, or if you go to lookup and choose the variable we have created previously in the query list, var HOD, double click on it and hit OK. So we have specified the assignee. If we have multiple assignees or we have a group, you can create individual tasks for all group members or create one task for all group members. You can have the delegation option to delegate the task from one user to another. You can add task description. It's just for the developers or the designer of the workflow. It will not be displayed for the end user. You have the outcome, approve, reject, or need more information. You have the behavior. For example, if we have multiple assignees here, what will be the behavior of the task if one approver or one assignee take a decision? First response applies. So once a assignee take a decision, the task will not be required for the other assignees. The majority must choose a specific outcome. This specific outcome will be configured by the designer. You have all must agree on a specific outcome. Also, you should configure this option. Majority decides. It's just like voting, or all must agree on a specific outcome. For example, all will decide to reject, or all will decide to approve. We'll go for first response applies. You can store the outcome of this task using this option. Store outcome in a variable. You can change the task name, and this is very important since the pending tasks will be listed based on this task name. So the task name will be displayed there inside the pending task web part. We need to store the task ID in a variable of type integer, since once the assignee submit the task, we should retrieve the task comment, the task decision, the date of the action, and by whom it has been taken, to add this data or this information inside our audit trail. You can also change the item permission here, and we have an option, for example, do not create branches. Once you hit on this option, all the branches or all the outcome will be deleted, and the flexi task will be considered as a review task without any decision to take, only to take data from the assignee. Then we have the task notifications. Here you will add the subject. You can change the importance of the email, low, normal, high. You can add emails as CC or BCC. Here you will customize your notification. We have added a logo. You can go to insert, click on picture, and add a picture from an address. This address can be a SharePoint URL, a file inside SharePoint, or a public website. Here we have Dear Initiator display name, that the task assignee display name. Then we have here the email body. You can customize it. Then we will add the table, the HTML table, and we need to add a link to respond to the task. So we'll go here to insert. You can click on link. The task URL can be found here inside the common tab. We'll go to task URL. So the task URL can be found here as approval URL, which will include the URL of the task response form for the current task. You will double click on it and you can change the hyperlink text to display from link to, for example, task URL or here, etc., and hit on OK, and automatically it will be added to the email notification body. You have not required notification, we didn't change it, it's by default this body. You have the reminders. You can specify the number of reminders the workflow will send to the assignee if he didn't respond within a specific period. You can specify the time between reminders, and you can add here the reminder email. You can configure the escalation. We have two types of escalation: delegate a task automatically after a specific period, for example to his manager, and add a comment that the assignee has not responded to this task within 2 days. You can complete automatically the task by either, for example, approve, reject. So this is just like the outcome here in general settings. Now you should design your task form. We'll go here to edit with Nintex form. The task form will open now, and you can configure it based on the fields that should be filled out by the assignees. Usually the task form will contain all the details of the initial request in addition to the decision, which is approve, reject, or need more information. He can also add comments, and he should see the audit trail. So for this, I will not go again through the form since it's similar to the initial form you have designed on the SharePoint list. Just need to mention that all the data here, all the fields should be in display mode. The assignees cannot change the data inside this field, so you will change the control mode from edit or auto to display and save. You need to add the decision from here, from the task column. You drag and drop the decision, and you will have automatically approve, reject, need more information, the outcomes populated inside your form. You can add, let me delete this one. You have the comment, it's connected by default to the task column comment, and you need to add here the audit trail, which is a multi-line text box. The default value will be var audit trail, the workflow variable, and the display will be changed to enhanced rich text. And save. Submit will have an action, save and submit. I will close the task. I will cancel here. And here, based on the outcome, either we will go to the reject and we will send a notification to the initiator that your request, your application has been rejected, or we will go to the next step, which is the HR manager, or need more information. The task will be returned to the application submitter. If we will go to approve, we will set the var next state to HR manager, and we will send a notification to the initiator that your request has been approved, and we will go to the next step to get the approval. It has been approved by the head of division. Then the state will be changed to inner state always. Inner state, the state will handle adding a new row to the audit trail, adding the comments and the assignees to the audit trail or the history of comments, updating the current item with the updated audit trail, then change the next state to the variable var next state. So in our case, we'll go to the HR manager, since in the variable it had been set as HR manager. Okay, let me go here to the inner state. We will have a query list. If you remember, we have added a var task ID inside our flexi task. This task ID will store the ID of this current task, and after completing the task or submitting the task by the assignee, we'll have a query list to the workflow task list. Based on the task ID, we will get the comment, the assignee name, and the date of the action. It didn't open, let me open it again. So here we have our query list. We'll specify the list name, which is the workflow tasks, a predefined list that will be created automatically once you published a workflow inside SharePoint. You need to specify the condition. We will go to the workflow task list, select the task row or the row where ID is equal var task ID, and we need to get the approver comments and the assigned to. You will choose here from the fields the approver comments and the assigned to, and store the variable or store the data inside workflow variables. Go to cancel. Then we will go to the regular expression. Here we need to update the table, the audit trail table, with the new row. Just let me copy our audit trail, copy. I will go to Notepad. Okay, this is our HTML code. We have the style tag where all the class name will be specified. We have our table, very easy, a table HTML with the row, 4 columns, date, action by, action description, comment. So in our workflow, after each step, we need to do a regular expression, remove this tag table, add a new row, which is this one, just a few seconds. So we will remove, we'll specify here in the pattern that we will replace this text table with this text, replacement text. This replacement text will contain the new row or the new comments. First column will contain the current date dash current time. You can have the current date, current time from the common variables inside the reference. You will have the action by. Action by can be either retrieved from the workflow task query list or from the common last task respondent display name. Then you should specify the outcome, var outcome. If you remember, we have added in our flexi task settings this variable to store the outcome achieved. Then we need to add the var approver comments stored inside this variable. Then we need to close the table tag. I will go back to my workflow. So the input will be the audit trail, the replacement text will be this one, and we need to replace this table tag. And we will store again the result inside this var audit trail variable. I will cancel. We need to update again the audit trail column with this new expression. and we need to change the state based on the state stored inside next state variable. We'll go here. Again, we need to change the workflow status, add and assign flexi task, and a change to inner state. For example, here, if the decision was need more information, so it should be redirect to the division head. Here, if the division head choose need more information, it should be redirect to the application submitter. Here we have the application submitter. We have an assign flexi task. However, this flexi task does not contain outcome because the branches are removed from this task. I will show you this option. So to remove the branches from the flexi task, all you need to do is to go to the task settings, go to advanced option down, and hit on do not create branches. Same configuration will be done. We need to store the task ID in a variable. We need to specify and enter a task name. We need to configure the task notification based on the notification template you need. We have the task form. You should create a Nintex form for your task. Usually we do not create a task form from scratch. We export the form from the SharePoint list, from the current SharePoint list, and import it here inside the task form. I will cancel. We need to change the state, next state to division head, and go also to the inner state to update the audit trail accordingly. We'll go now to the next phase. If the division manager or if the HR manager approve the request, we need to generate a document. This document is generated based on a template. The template will be a Word document saved inside a document library. We have uploaded the document here, job requisition report template, inside the job requisition document library. Once you add a document library, once you add a document template and select it inside the action, automatically it will be updated, and all the workflows variable, the item properties, will be inserted inside this template based on the current workflow and the current SharePoint list. Okay, cancel. For example, if we opened here the Word document, it will be opened like this, a template with a logo, text, static text or dynamic text. For the dynamic text, you will specify it from the Nintex document tagger. Nintex document tagger will be updated based on the current workflow this action is running inside it, or based on the SharePoint list. For example, we have here all the columns of the job requisition list. We have the workflows variable, we have inside our workflow, and we have the common variables. For example, to add the job title, you should go to the items properties, search for job title, and just click on it. Automatically it will be inserted here. Same for the department, location, etc. If you need to add any specific data type, for example like a date, you can dynamically change the date here and choose the date format, year, month, day. You can add hours, or you can add time or remove the time, etc. You can add also variables. For example, here we have used var created to add the created date of this request. Once you complete the tagging of the document, you can hit on save, or automatically the Word document will be saved after a period of time. I will minimize the screen. I will go back to my workflow. This is my template I have added here. You can add different multiple templates inside your document generation action, and you will specify the output, either single PDF. The document generation engine will automatically merge the different template inside one single PDF, or separate PDF. Each template will be converted and generated to a PDF and saved in a library. Or you can, for example, generate a template or a document as a Word and not convert it to PDF. The document generation action inside Nintex, also you can generate using this action Word, Excel document, PowerPoint document as well, or Word document, as you can see here. After tagging the document, you need to specify the output location where this document will be saved inside the document library, inside SharePoint, and choose the library here. Inside archive it in a public URL in a shared folder, for example, or attach it to the current item. Once the document is generated, we will go to Nintex Sign to electronically sign the document, the generated document. We are using here Adobe Sign functionality. First, we need to add the initiator or the account of licensed by Adobe. Then we need to enter the different recipients. We can have one recipient or multiple recipients, and specify the order of signing, complete in order based on the order entered, or complete in any order. For each recipient, you should add his email, the role, signer, approver, delegator, form filler, etc., and the identity authentication by email, by password, by SMS, or by Adobe Sign account, etc. You can specify here the agreement name. Here you can change the message of the notification. By default, the notification will be like this: NTX demo, which is the initiator, request your signature. Usually NTX demo on a real case will be the company name. We have here the due date, review and sign, and a footer, predefined footer by Adobe Sign. All this features or all this notification template can be changed from inside Adobe Sign platform, not related to the workflow designer. You will add here the expiry date of the document, the reminder frequency. The workflow will send automatically daily reminder until signed, weekly reminder, bi-weekly reminder, etc. You can add a redirect URL. When the recipient signed the document, he will be redirected to this specific URL. You need to specify the document that will be signed here inside this section. If you remember, we have stored the output file URL in the document generation action inside var output file URL workflow variable. So we need to add it here. Then specify the output location, or where the signed copy of the document will be saved. Similar to the document generation, we can attach it to the current item, save it inside a shared drive or any external system, or inside SharePoint document library. After signing the document, the approval flow will be ended, so we should add a change state to end the state machine and go out from the state machine to this step. For this step, if the initiator specify any advertisement channel and choose any advertisement channel, for example LinkedIn, robotics website, the company website, send it by email to freelancer, the vacancy will be posted on the chosen social media platform. To achieve this requirement, we have used Nintex Workflow Cloud. To start a workflow from Nintex on-prem, in Nintex Workflow Cloud, you can use the start workflow in NWC action. All you need to do is to specify the external start URL. The external start URL will be a combination of the workflow URL inside NWC and the token. Once you will publish the workflow inside Nintex Workflow Cloud, you will have a URL with a token that can be copy and paste here. And once you click on connect, the description of the workflow and the name of the workflow in NWC will be displayed here, and the parameters or the inputs of the workflow will be added here, and you will specify for each parameter his input. AD channel, it should be string. You will add the advertisement channels from the SharePoint list, from the current SharePoint list. You will add the salary range, position description, the hiring date, department, job location, title. This feature or this workflow in NWC will be used to post the vacancy on LinkedIn or on the company website, to send it by email to the freelancer. After calling the workflow or initiating the workflow, we will go to another platform different of Nintex on-prem. We are working here, and the vacancy will be posted. At the end, we will change the workflow status to vacancy posted, and the workflow will be terminated. Now we have technically explained how you can customize your form, how you will build a list, customize the form, and configure the workflow inside Nintex for SharePoint 2019, and how you can implement a job requisition application with the different approval step and the additional features that Nintex can offer, from the document generation and Adobe Sign. Thank you for your time, and we will see you in our next episode.